Hello and welcome to our last notes for topic 9, multi-step inequalities. We're not really going to be doing anything new today because we're going to be solving multi-step inequalities. That means more than 2 steps, which again you solve exactly the same way as you solve an equation, except for you have to really pay attention to your sign, and if you happen to be dividing or multiplying both sides by a negative, then you have to remember to reverse the sign. So we're just going to jump right in here. The launch says you and a friend spend Friday nights quizzing each other on math problems. You got a great Friday night plan. Just as your friend races to show you the solution to -2, then times x plus 5 5/10 equals 20, you say, oh no, I meant -2 x plus 5 5/10 is greater than 20. So did your friend waste her time solving the equation? Explain. And when I look at this, one I see as an equation, and the other one I'm seeing obviously as an inequality. And I just stated you solve both of these exactly the same way. So did your friend really waste her time? I'm going to say no, because you solve the inequality the same way that you do in an equation. But the only thing you need to do is check to see if the sign needs to be reversed. And I would look at this one, and because it becomes -2x minus 5 5/10 is greater than 20, I see that I would have to end up dividing both sides by -2, which would mean that I would have to reverse the inequality sign. But everything else is going to be the same. So we're jumping into example number 1, jumping into a lot of things here today. And it says, solve 3, then in parentheses, p plus 5 8/10 is less than or equal to -28 2/10, and then also graph the solution. So this one is really nice because it's giving you a lot of space, but normally I would ask for you to start by rewriting this inequality. But since we're going to be applying the distributive property so quickly, we'll just go ahead and do that. So I've got 3 times p and 3 times 5 8/10, which becomes 3p plus 17 4/10. I am continuing to bring down the less than or equal to sign, and then the -28 2/10. Now this is just a 2-step inequality from this point. So I have addition, so the opposite will be to subtract. That leaves me with 3p is less than or equal to -45 6/10. Then I'm dividing by 3 to both sides. Since I'm dividing by a positive, I do not need to reverse the sign. It gives me -15 2/10. And just to do a basic graph here, the number that needs to be circled in the middle is the 15 2/10, the -15 2/10, excuse me. I am using a solid circle because -15 2/10 is included in the solution set. And this is looking for values that are less than, so I will shade to the left. Go ahead and give number 2 a try on your own. Okay, be sure to go ahead and check your work. Be careful because the variable is on the right side and not the left side. Be careful that you're extra careful with your shading. You need to be shading to the left here. All right, moving on to the back. Number 3 states that a farmer harvests 25 bushels of Macintosh apples each day and 18 bushels of Granny Smith apples each day. In how many days will he have more than 100 bushels to sell? Now I remember having a question similar to this, when they had that question, it made it sound like you couldn't have 2 variables in here. But this one, it's saying that there's 25 bushels of Macintosh apples and 18 bushels of Granny Smith apples, and he's just talking about how many days they'll have more than 100 bushels. So they're not really distinguishing the difference between Macintosh and Granny Smith. So I'm just going to say that they want to know in how many days will he have 100 bushels to sell. So I'm going to say that n is the number of days. That's what I'm looking for at the end. Well, each day he sells 25. So 25 is the coefficient being multiplied by the number of days. And then he also sells 18 bushels of Granny Smiths each day, so that's the other coefficient also being multiplied by the number of days. We're looking for more than, and again, that's not talking about addition in this scenario, it's talking about an inequality. More than means greater, so more than 100. I'm going to combine my like terms and get 43n is greater than 100. Divide both sides by 43. And I know I'm going to not get an even or a whole number here or integer. I end up getting 2 3/10. And so they are looking for in how many days will you have more than 100 bushels to sell? Well, I can't just put a partial day in here. So the next closest whole day would actually be 3 days. That would make that inequality true. So it's just going to be 3 days as my answer. Okay? Number 4 is dealing with fractions, but we're not going to let that bother us here. We're going to start by combining like terms together on the left side first. And they've given us common denominators here, so I don't need to worry about that. So 3 2/5 W plus 1 4/5 W is going to give me 4 6/5 W, and still less than or equal to 26. Then I'm going to take my mixed number and change it to an improper fraction. So that'll give me 26/5 W. And we can go through and we can clear this problem out. You can either multiply both sides by 5, so you can clear out the denominator, or remember we can multiply by the reciprocal of 26/5, which would be 5/26. Either way will get you the answer. I wrote the wrong thing down. And I get 5/26. I can cross-cancel my 5s, cross-cancel my 26. I'm just left with the W. I can also cross-cancel over here the 26, which just leaves me with 5 is less than or equal to, no, W is less than or equal to 5. Okay, go ahead and give number 5 a shot on your own. They're just asking for you to find, describe, and correct the error in the student's work. All right, so after going through, I saw that they reversed the inequality sign when they did not have to because they only divided one side but with a negative, not both sides. And then number 6, this one's a little bit different than some that we've tried already, but not impossible. It says that your friend says that the solution of 2 times m plus 3 less than 10 is m is greater than 2. So they're asking for us to give a counterexample to show that she is correct. So if she is stating, or your friend, that she's stating that m is greater than 2, a counterexample would then be to choose a value that is less than 2 instead of greater. So if my friend is correct, you can choose whatever value you want because m can be multiple different answers, but I don't want to really put a negative in there. So the only other two positives could be 0 or 1. So we are just going to try to see if 0 or 1 would actually work in for m here. Because if my friend is correct again, 0 or 1 would not be a solution because that's not in her solution set. So I'm just going to use 0 because that cancels out things nicely for me. So instead of putting a number greater than 2 in place of m, I'm putting something that, again, is not part of her solution set. And you can either use the distributive property, or we can just go through and use our rules here with our order of operations. 0 plus 3 is just 3. So I'll have 2 times 3, which will give me 6, and 6 is less than 10. And since this is a true statement, your friend must be incorrect. Okay, that's all you have to do there. So again, please remind yourselves, if you have any questions, please remember to ask me. We're looking at a test coming up in about a week. Have a great night.